guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. Today I wanted to go through all the books that I read in July and do a reading wrap up. July was an insane reading month for me. I read 17 books. One of those was a short story. Disclaimer, like one of those was a short story and two of them I think were graphic novels, but still really good reading month. I got 10 books off of my physical TBR, which is absolutely insane, and 7 of them I read through my library. My average rating was a 3.6. I'm a pretty generous rater in terms of like, I'm not a literary critic. I'm not here to say, you know, this book is objectively good or it's objectively bad. I'm just telling y'all what I thought about it, and if you have similar reading tastes to me, maybe that would be helpful. Okay, so with all that being said, we're gonna get into the books and I'm just gonna go through them in the order that I've read them through the month. So the first book that I read this month is The Atlas Paradox by Olive Blake. This is the second book in the Atlas 6 trilogy. Then I also read Sacred Hospitality, which is like a short story sort of in between the second and third book. And then I also read the third book, The Atlas Complex. Those are the first 3 books that I read in the month. I have been reading the Atlas 6 since like it came out, I think like 2021 or 2022, whenever that book came out. I started it and it's been like on my shelf, slowly started for like years at this point. I finally finished it a few weeks ago, and then this month I decided to just go down and finish the trilogy. The series takes place in a world where people have like powers, and 6 of them get recruited into the Alexandrian Society essentially. That's what the Atlas 6 is about. And then obviously the Alexandrian Society has its own missions, it has its own motives, and that is sort of what you explore in here with our same cast of characters in the first one. I found the first one to be very slow paced in a way and just very all over the place because we have so many characters, and like I said, we have those 6 characters and we get those 6 POVs in every single book. But in the first one, when you don't really know who they are, I just found it to be a little disorienting and it just wasn't my favorite. Things got better and worse in the second and third book in my opinion. Like, you kind of get a better feel for who the characters are, and I really liked the characters. I didn't really care for the main story. The characters themselves were why I was reading this towards the end, but the actual storyline, I don't know, I didn't really care about. Okay, so for my ratings and whether I would recommend this series, I feel like if you didn't like the first book, honestly, you can call it quits there. I ended up purchasing all 3 of the books, which is why I was very motivated to finish the series because they were on my shelf already. I rated all of these 3 stars. I forget what I rated the first one. I might have rated it 4 stars. Like, it was a little bit better. So I rated these 2 books as well as the short story in between. I rated them all 3 stars. Okay, the next book that I read I think might be my favorite book of the entire month, and that is Every Summer After. I don't know why I waited so long to read this book. Carly Fortune's 4th book came out, I believe, in July, and so I was seeing everybody talk about One Golden Summer, which is her new release, and everybody was rating it 5 stars, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I really want to read that. And then some people said like, you should really read Every Summer After before you read One Golden Summer because they are interconnected. Yeah, so I was like, okay, like, no problem, you know, I really want some more summer romances, so let me pick up Every Summer After, and I absolutely loved it. I rated this 5 stars. Like I said, I think this might be my favorite book of the month. A really fun fact, but Carly Fortune, she's from Toronto. I live in Toronto. I was going to my boyfriend's graduation in June, and they were talking about like alumni from his school that like would be known, and Carly Fortune was one of them. I thought that was super fun. So this book takes place in Ontario in like cottage country, and so both of like Sam and Percy, they meet as teenagers when they're going up to their cottage, and we get a past and present timeline. I think it's like 10 years apart or something. It's a long time, and I absolutely loved it. Like, just the feelings that this book brings, I don't know, it was just like the absolute perfect summer romance. I loved it. I haven't read her 2nd or 3rd book, but I have started One Golden Summer. I couldn't help myself, and it is really, really good. I haven't finished it yet, but it's so good, and I'm so excited to finish that book. The next book that I read is The Love of My Afterlife. Our female main character, she dies and she goes to the afterlife, and you see her in the afterlife, and she arrives at the afterlife at the same time as this man. They immediately have chemistry and sparks fly, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I wish that like I had met him, you know, before I died, I guess, but now we're in the afterlife together, so like, you know, it's looking up. And then they realize that they made a mistake and that he shouldn't actually be there, and so they send him back to the world, like real world, and she's like, oh no, like we could have fallen in love. And then the person who sort of was there to welcome them in the afterlife, she's like, oh, like, you know, I love love, so, you know, if you want to go back and convince him to fall in love with you, then like you can stay, you know, like no one knows you're dead yet, like you just passed away. If you can go, you have a week, you know, whatever, and end, and if not, then I'll take you back. You know, you'll come back to the afterlife. Anyways, so that's the setup for this story. It's super fun. I actually really liked this book. It was nothing too crazy, but it was just fun. Very, you know, if you're looking for a summer romance, this was just very lighthearted, especially considering the topics that are in this book. But yeah, I don't know, I really liked it. I liked all the characters in here and how it all wraps up at the end. I rated it 4 stars. I think the next book that I read is The Roughest Draft. I really liked this book too. I honestly had a very good reading month. Like, I really cannot complain, especially during this part of the month where I'm reading all these summer romances. I mean, they're not all summer romances, I guess, but a lot of summer romances, and I'm just having like the best time. So this book is about 2 authors that decide to co-write a book, and it becomes a major success. So they have a contract where they have to write another book, and that contract comes knocking a couple years after their first book. But after their first collaboration, they sort of ended on bad terms. Nobody knows why. They don't speak anymore, and so yeah, they have to write a new book together, and that's sort of the premise of this book. This one I liked. I didn't love. It was good. It was an enjoyable read. I would definitely recommend it if the setup sounds fun and you're looking to pick up a summer romance, but I don't think it's like the best thing ever written. That was just my experience with it, so I rated this a 3 stars. It was good, not great, like I said. Okay, the next book that I read is Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. So this book is the 3rd book in her first interconnected standalone trilogy. If you've seen my August TBR, I talked about this already, but I read the series completely out of order. So I read the Happy Ever After playlist, which is the 2nd book in the series, and I read that last year. I had no idea it was in an interconnected standalone series. Yeah, I just saw the hype for it and I was like, great, like this sounds good, let me pick it up. I read it, loved it. It was a very good book, and then I realized after the fact that there's actually 2 more stories. Like, there's a book before and there's a book after, and when I was reading it, it felt like something was off because, I don't know, sometimes you can tell when you're reading an interconnected standalone series, especially a romance, you can tell when other characters come in and you're supposed to know a bit more about them, you know? Like, you can just feel like you're not necessarily getting anything less out of the book if you don't read it in the order or anything like that, but you can just tell when you're reading it, you're like, these people sound like I should know them somehow. Like, they sound like important. So I definitely felt that, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely part of an interconnected standalone series, and I would really like to read the others. So I think what happened is, because of what happens in the 2nd book, I thought that Life's Too Short, like just the title of this one, was the 1st book in the series. So that's always what I had in my mind. Now, I picked it, I still have my bookmark. So then I ended up reading this one, and then I'm like halfway through it, and they're referencing the 2 characters that I know from the 2nd book, and they're already together. So I'm like, oh no, this is the 3rd book. Yeah, so I've read the 2nd book, I've read the 3rd book, and I still have to read the 1st book. But anyways, enough about the series. So this book is about Vanessa, our female main character, and her neighbor Adrian, and that's how they meet. And I don't know, there's not much more to the setup, I feel, but like, this book was actually so good. Like, I loved it. There's a lot more to it, especially on her end, the female main character, what she's going through in life. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I loved him, I loved her, I loved them. Big fan. Big fan. Great conclusion to the series. Not that it's really a series, but you know what I mean. I really love this. I rated it 4 stars, but I would rate this like a 4.5 stars. I really liked this book. I would 100% recommend. So after 4 romances back to back, you may be surprised, but we have another romance. This is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. I read Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto a couple weeks back, and I loved it. That was like her, I think it was a new release-ish when I read it. I don't know if it came out this year or at the end. I think it came out at the end of last year. Actually, you know what? I have no idea. I'm talking out of. That one is her newest release. Well, that was her newest release at the time that I read it. She's since come out with a fantasy book, which I really want to read. I have heard nothing but good things, amazing reviews for this book, and I love good fantasies. Yeah, so this is the other book from Julie Soto that I had not read yet. It's Forget Me Not. I think this is her first novel. I could be completely wrong. It's just the first one that I know of. This is about Emma and Elliot. Our female character, she is a wedding planner, and Elliot is a florist, and he does a lot of floral arrangements for weddings, so that's their connection. And this is also a past and present sort of situation where they used to work together quite a lot when she was not working for herself. They got to know each other, they worked on weddings together, they fell in love, and then we don't know what happened, but they don't talk anymore. And now she has her own business that she's running, and she has, I think, a couple that requests Elliot specifically or something like that. They run into each other again down the road, and that is what we're following. And yeah, I really liked this one. Again, I feel like this is one I liked. I didn't love. It was very good. I rated it like 3 stars. I would definitely recommend it it. It was a really good time. It was definitely a little cringier, a little cheesier than some of the other ones that I read, but still really enjoyed it. Happy that I picked it up. I know that Not Another Love Song got the hype it did, and I didn't expect this one to be as good as that one. The next book that I read is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in her Mortal Instruments series. I find this series so confusing, but I think you read the first 3 books of the series and then you take a break and you go to another series. Something like that. I'm confused. I don't know. I'm gonna read the first 3 and then I'll have to see where we stand. I actually really liked this. This is about Clary, our female main character, and she's a teenager and she discovers the world of shadows. I never really knew what this book was about, but it's basically a dystopia. It takes place like in the current time, so whenever this was released in 2007 in New York, and you know, you have like the regular world that, you know, everybody knows, I guess, and then we have Clary, and she is our female main character. We follow her journey as she realizes that there is like another dimension to it, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, like another plane of existence that is happening at the same time as like the regular world, and not everybody can see it, but some people can, and she realizes that she's one of them because she starts seeing like monsters and stuff like that, and she's like, oh my god, like what? Look at that. And everybody's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't, you're like, there's nothing there. And she's like, no, there is. And so then she sort of gets immersed in that world, and you know, people like her, and that is sort of the premise. And yeah, I liked this, didn't love it. I'm really hoping the story sort of picks up a little bit. I was like, I don't know, I hope the series sort of gets better. I guess there was a lot of world building and setting up in this book, but I liked it, but I didn't care like I should. So I don't know, maybe that's just because it's a YA novel. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I needed to care a little bit more to like this book more than I did. So I gave it 3 stars. It was good. I would say like 3.25 would be my final rating on it after the month has passed. Like I said, I liked it, and I am definitely going to continue the series. We're gonna switch genres once again. The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. This is, I suppose it's like a mystery thriller. It didn't feel too mystery thriller. It was like, take a literary fiction, mix it with a mystery thriller. That's sort of how this felt. Yeah, which is great because I like mystery thrillers, but I get spooked really easily. So I'm very apprehensive about reading this. This is about 2 girls, Emily and Chess. They're like best friends. They're both authors, so they decide to go and stay at like a villa as a retreat, get away from, you know, the real world, the distractions, anything like that. And they're gonna go write at a villa in, I think, Italy. Then they get there and they sort of start talking about the villa and the history of it, and this villa used to be like a summer vacation home for big celebrities a couple decades ago, and one of them was an author. Well, she wasn't really a celebrity at the time, but she was also an author, and she wrote about her experience, and so they decide to like kind of go into that story, decode it, and sort of get to the bottom of what actually happened that summer, and they get clues left around the house, and so it's really good. Like, I actually really enjoyed this. I wouldn't say that it's very suspenseful or like eerie or anything. Like, I could read this in the dead of night. I wouldn't be scared. Like, there's nothing like that about it. I liked it. I'm glad I read it. Like, I'm not like, oh, that was like a waste of time. Do you know what I mean? Some books feel like that. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't connect very strongly. I thought it was very good. I'd rate it like a 3.25 stars. Like, it was, you know, it was mid. Like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And yeah, that's The Villa. After absolutely attacking my physical library, I went ahead and read some from the library. So I read Mother of Death and Dawn by Carissa Broadbent. This is her last book in the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. I have to say, I absolutely love this trilogy. It is so good. I love the premise. This is a fantasy romance series, and I love the premise. I mean, this is the 3rd book, so I can't really say too much, but yeah, if you're a fan of romantasy, 100% would recommend. I rated this book a 5 stars. I'm not sure if it was her strongest book in the series. I think my favorite might still be the first. I don't know. I like them all. I like them all so much. I think the premise is amazing because it is so unique, and I love our male main character. He is amazing, and yeah, I absolutely love the series. It's a very strong series. I feel like it's like criminally underhyped. It deserves way more recognition. If you take a look at it and you think it interests you, please read it. You will not regret it. Okay, the next 2 books that I read are Heartstopper 1 and 2. These books are amazing. Oh my gosh, I love these books so much. They're like candy though, you know, like I think I've since finished the series, not all in the month, but I've since finished the series, and I think I would rate most books like a 4.5, and I would rate the entire series like a 4.5. This is a young adult. is it young adult? Yeah, it's young adult. Graphic novel series. It's very like coming of age-esque. It's like all about queer romances. We have Charlie and Nick, which are our main characters, and I don't know, this whole universe, their friend group, everything. And yeah, the graphic novel, I don't know, it just makes you so giddy, gives you butterflies. Like, I loved this series so much. It's so special, and they're so fast-paced. Like, you can definitely read one in a sitting. I have absolutely nothing but good things to say about these books. They were phenomenal. I love them. I highly recommend all of them. I read the first 2 books in the From Blood and Ash series. This is a series, has 4 books in it. I've read the first 2 and I actually really like it. I feel like people always say they don't like the series. I really like the series. I don't know, I don't take it too seriously, and it's not like the best fantasy series ever written, but I don't know, I kind of had a good time with it. So this book is about Poppy. She's our female main character. She has been chosen from birth as like the maiden, so she's been preparing her entire life to be found worthy of the gods in this universe. You know, she has like little to no contact with anybody. She like can't go out, she can't speak to anybody, like super secluded, super sheltered. A kerfuffle happens. Her like royal guard that's like closest to her and like is like with her 24 hours a day kind of thing, he unfortunately goes into like a battle and never makes it out, so she has a new one, and his name is Hawk, and that is our male main character. So that is sort of the premise of the story. There is lots of twists and turns in here. The story that I'm describing in the beginning is not the story we end up with. That's sort of the fun of it. So I read the first 2 books in here, really liked it. I think I liked the first one better than the second one. I rated this book like a 4 stars, and I rated the second book 3 stars. That's definitely how I feel about them. I haven't continued the series yet. I definitely intend to. I definitely want to continue and finish the series because I've also heard even better things about the prequel series. I definitely liked them. I would recommend them if the premise interests you. If you don't read that many books, I feel like you have to be more selective about which ones you read, and if you don't love this, then I wouldn't bother continuing the series. Okay, so the last 2 books that I read, the first one was Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. This is her new release from this year, and it was just a really fun time. Like, it was not serious at all. We have our female main character. She has 2 jobs. She's trying to repay like her student debt, and she's like starting her professional career. One of them is working for a cleaning company, and one of the apartments that she cleans belongs to this like billionaire basically, and she knows when he's out of town and when he's not, and then at one point she decides to just stay over for the night because her apartment is being fumigated. So she's like, well, he's out of town, he won't, you never know, you know, so she just decides to stay the night, and then she wakes up and his parents are in the living room, and they're like, oh my gosh, what's her name again? Amy, I think. Oh my gosh, Amy, like, is that you? Like, they've never met her, but they assume that she's his girlfriend. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm Amy. Like, what? Why did he tell like his parents that like I'm his girlfriend, but I'm just the cleaning lady? Like, what the heck? So she's like, okay, what the like, that's so weird. And then obviously his parents tell him all about that, like, oh my gosh, we finally got to meet your girlfriend, like, that you've been telling us all about, Amy, she's great, whatever. And then he reaches out to her being like, what the heck, like, why did you tell them you were, you know, my girlfriend and stuff? Anyway, so that's sort of like the setup. They decide to fake date. So like, he's a billionaire, and in his job and in his environment, everybody is always expecting him to sort of finally find a girlfriend, settle down, do that whole thing, and he thinks it's holding him back professionally, that he doesn't have that because he doesn't fit in with his coworkers as much. So he's like, I would love it if you could pretend to be my girlfriend. And she's like, well, I would love it if I had a place to stay. So that was sort of the arrangement, and that's the fake dating setup that they have. And I loved it. Like, it's so cheesy, it's so silly, but like, that's what I sign up for, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not expecting this to be anything it's not. I gave this a 3 stars. I think I would rate it like a 3.75 actually. After thinking about it for the month and talking about it again, I genuinely really liked this story. It was really sweet, and like I said, like, I'm not expecting it to be anything it's not, and for what it was, I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it if like you're just in the mood for that, you know? And then the last book that I read for the month was Accidentally Amy. This is another book by Lynn Painter. It's a little bit older. I was sort of trying to get through her adult romances. Our 2 main characters essentially just have a meet cute at like a coffee shop. That's like all it is, you know. She spills coffee on him. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm late for my first day at work, like I got a jet. And then when she's meeting everybody in the office, obviously he's there. Oh no, who saw that coming? So that's how they meet, and they're like, oh, we definitely, you know, can't be together or go on a date or anything. So she's like working literally, I think, in HR, and he's not the CEO, but like I think he's like a partner in the company or like a little bit higher up. So, but then they keep contact, and you know, things sort of go from there. I didn't love this one. I found it a little too cheesy. I just didn't care that much. I rated it 2 stars. Yeah, I don't know. This one wasn't really for me. I wouldn't recommend it. I never really had a huge desire to read it, like when I heard people talking about it, but then I was like, oh, like I read like Lynn Painter, and I loved The Love Wager, and I really genuinely did like Made for Each Other. So I was like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe I really do like Lynn Painter's adult romances, and I should give this one a try. And yeah, like I said, it wasn't for me. That's like not a great note to leave it off on, but to like wrap up and to be our last book. But all in all, this was like a pretty phenomenal reading month. We had 2 5-stars, so many romances. We finished 2 series and we started like so many more, so no comment on that. But yeah, that is it for July. These are all of the physical books that I was able to get through, which is actually insane. My reading pace has slowly been picking up. 17 I think is a little crazy. I think this one might be my best reading month of the year. Like I don't really foresee myself beating that. It's definitely not a goal also to just read a lot. July just ended up being a month that I sort of had the time for it. That is all that I have for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to maybe find some recommendations, and if you have any for me, please let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see you guys in the next video very, very soon. Bye!